Here we go, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's lovely to see lots of faces. Most of you know who I am, so that's fine. So I'm Sarah Atwood. I run Thrive Health and Wellness. I'm a wellness coach who specialises in kinesiology, nutrition and emotion. And tonight it's all about the gut, all about digestion. My background is very personal experience with digestion, probably suffered with IBS for, I don't know, 10, 15 years or something delightful like that. Really struggled with my gut health around me. Now I know I did all the things wrong. So this is why I try and teach you some of the things, some of the hints and tips, plus through my knowledge for kinesiology and nutrition. There are lots of basics that we can add in. Sorry, let me just keep pressing and adding people in. Please welcome, join in. So I'm going to talk you through a bit of an overview. Then we're going to talk about symptoms of gut health issues, areas to focus, top tips, what we should be eating, what can help us, what can hinder us, supplements that can help. And then I'm also going to introduce you to a gut health cleanse program, which completely helped me last year, which I must admit I was initially quite skeptical about, because I was like, look, no offense, but I know quite a lot, which you would hope that I would do, considering lots of you come to me. However, we can all do with extra support. And so for me, I actually needed a bit of a program to follow, and I needed a bit of help, and I needed some different supplements to mix it up, because sometimes, I don't know about you, but food wise, we can get stuck in a rut, find ourselves just repeating the same sort of dishes. So let me just double check. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent, good, thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is share my screen with you. I've got a little bit of a presentation to talk you through, and hopefully the chat thing will still work, but if not, just shout. So bear with me while I press the button. This should then all pop up for you in a minute. So have you got access? Can you see my screen here that says digestion?
Yeah.
Good, excellent, thank you very much. Here we go. So gut health overview. What are we talking about here? We're talking about digestive issues. So we're talking about the bloating, the cramps, the gas, but also other things. And I don't know if we forget these sometimes, is fatigue. Mouth ulcers used to be a chronic element of mine that I would get, and actually all of that was linked to the gut. Fatigue, not just with years of chronic fatigue and ME, but also just that general kind of malaise and just thinking, I just can't get through the day, I'm just not feeling right. Sensitivities to food. When our gut is out of balance, poor little foods get blamed for everything, and it's really not the food's fault at all. It's because our gut's out of balance. But so you can say, oh, it's those tomatoes. They might be a trigger, but they might also just be because your gut is kind of not feeling quite right. Could I ask you all, sorry, there's a bit of feedback. Could you all just mute yourselves for me? There should be a button on there that says mute. There's just quite a lot of noise. That would be super helpful. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Michelle. That is brilliant. Thank you. That's gorgeous. So down the right hand side, I've also just listed a load of conditions that we forget about with gut health. So a lot of autoimmune conditions have links with this. So they can have originations in the gut being out of balance. Migraines, a massive known trigger, is anything to do with the food here. So there for the big slide with all the writing on, but I'm going to talk you through this. So digestion is so important because it is about what we absorb. What we absorb is what gives us our energy. It's what helps all of our bodily functions. It's what gives us our fuel to help us live, to help us survive, to give us our energy, to help us our sleep. So we need to be able to absorb our food, both our food, all of the nutrients, vitamins and minerals, any supplements that we're taking. If our gut health is less than ideal, which I would say it is in an awful lot of cases, we're going to struggle to break down this food properly and therefore absorb all the nutrition. So you could be eating the most healthy, beautiful diet in the world, but if your gut's not right, it's not going to be doing anything. It's just going to kind of be flushing straight out of you. So I've just bolded a couple of things. It's all about absorbing the vital nutrients, producing digestive enzymes, or, to be honest, a majority of cases with my clients, taking some enzymes to help break down the food, which will allow your body to actually absorb it. Quite fascinatingly, the gut and the digestive system affects the immune system, nervous system, and hormone balance. So if you're struggling in any of those areas as well, it's really important that we have a little look at the gut and we see what's going on here. The gut is super complex, as we probably know. There's a delightful little picture up here just to show you. It's this lovely balance. And this is where the terms like prebiotics, probiotics come in, because this is all about keeping that balance between the fungi, the bacteria, the viruses, the parasites. They're all living there quite harmoniously. The issues come when something comes in and disrupts it. And that's the point when disease can occur. So whether it's a bacteria, whether it's a virus, whether it's more of a fungal state like a Candida albicans, where the gut's out of balance and is over replicating one area, that's where the nasty stuff can kind of come in. Medications can be a bit tricky here. What I do is work around people who are taking medications, because what I offer is a complementary therapy, but it's very much about boosting the body's immune system around it. So for example, we've probably heard about antibiotics. Great, have to have them at times, but we tend to have a bit of an overuse of them in this day and age. They can kill the good bacteria. So antibiotics go in and they just wipe everything out, good or bad. Long-term use of medications, omeprazole, classic one, used an awful lot for acid reflux. That also tricks your body. It says to your body, oh, you don't need to produce that anymore. You know, I'm going to calm it down. I'm going to give you some alkalizing element here for the heartburn. And then your body goes, oh, great, I must produce more stomach acid because I'm being alkalized the whole time. And it becomes this vicious circle. So there's things like this, just bearing in mind with your medications. We're not saying don't take them. We're just saying have a think about how you can support your body around them. If anybody's come to see me, you will know we talk a lot about the ileocecal valve, the ICV. Oh my goodness me, it's bane of my life and probably most of my clients. It's so naughty. So it's this little valve that sits between the, oh, let me just let somebody in. Hello, welcome. That sits between the small and the large intestine. When your body's broken down all your food correctly in the small intestine, then the trapdoor should open and you should start the excretion process, we shall call it delicately. This malfunctions. So often it can stay too stark, we can get really constipated, we can have a lot of problems coming through our skin, because obviously our body can't eliminate as it should do down there. So it comes out in other ways. And other times, and this is what I struggled with my experience of IBS, I had the real tendency towards the looseness, towards the urgency, towards the diarrhea, towards the, oh God, I've eaten and 5 minutes later I've got to go to the bathroom, which is terribly embarrassing and nobody talks about it, but I really think we all should. So these are things that are really important, and these are all things that we are going to give some guidance about helping tonight. So let me press button. Just another little slide here, and I just want you to take a moment just to have a little look at it. Signs of poor health. Also thinking, we'd said about digestive complaints and fatigue, thinking about aching muscles and joints, poor concentration and memory, mood swings, cravings, immune system being compromised constantly. So you're always picking up bugs and pills that are going around you all the time. Struggling with your skin. I would say, let's be bold, 90% of my cases are people who are struggling with their skin. Yes, we're talking hormones, but we're also really talking gut, because your skin is your largest organ and it's your excretion tool. So what's inside has to come out. And allergies, obviously. So if you're always blocked up, if you've always got like a tickly throat or a tight throat or a coated tongue, or if you're picking up food allergies, these are all things that are going to come from the gut as well. Before we get to the good news story, one more thing that can get in the way: emotional stress. I don't think this is discussed enough when we're talking about the gut, but I don't know about you, but I think we've all probably been in those emotional eating issues where, let's say we're having an argument, with a loved one, and we're just suddenly like, no, I can't eat anymore. That's just an indication of where our stomach just kind of cramps up and says, no, you're not going to make any food in here, and we're eating on a knot. Whether that's the stress of an argument, a stress of a job, a busy day, but we're sending messages to the adrenal glands, reducing all these stress hormones all the time. One of the biggest things that happens in stress is that your body says, right, I'm going to shut down digestion then, because clearly we're in a fight or flight mode. There is a tiger going to come out and leap us. Obviously, we don't need to bother processing our food right now. We need everything to go towards our heart and towards our head. We also struggle with sleeping. Muscles can stay quite tense, and we can find that we're having some breathing issues, and people often experience quite a tight chest and all sorts of elements to do with that. I just want to pop that in because it's so easy to just think foods when we talk about the gut. So how can we help it? So I have spoken to you about how important the gut is in terms of your overall health, certainly in terms of your immune system. And I've got a 3R technique, which I think most nutritionists have. So it's about removing, replacing, repairing, removing anything that is a trigger. I appreciate if you're arguing with your husband, you cannot just remove your husband, but what you can start to do is control, maybe if you are struggling in that situation, to not eat around those times when you're going to have those awkward conversations, to try and avoid foods that you think are triggers or inflammatory in any way. So inflammation is this kind of overload where the body starts to say, something is bothering me, I must react to it, I must try and push it out. So this could be some food triggers like wheat or dairy are really common ones. This could also be some medications that we're taking. We also want to try and take away anything that we know are irritants, so alcohol, caffeine, refined sugars, damaging fats. They're also a bit of a no-no, and they're things that you can take out, potentially not forever, but in short term if you really want to rebalance, and then we can look to reintroduce things slowly and see, has our body repaired enough that it can now accept it? So we want to replace with goodness. So we've mentioned digestive enzymes. They're possibly my most favorite thing in the world. Pretty much everybody over the age of 20 needs to take digestive enzymes. We just can't break down our food sufficiently. And it's all about breaking the food down and absorbing it. So to be honest, for me, they're an absolute definite in most people's cases. Probiotics, you might have heard things like acidophilus being a commonly used name. That's super good to get the good bacteria back in there. Omega oils, essential for coating all the cells, allowing you to absorb your hydration and just fixing tons of different areas in your body. And obviously then your vitamins and your minerals to make sure that you're rebalancing where you have likely built up quite a chronic mineral deficiency in some way. So we want to top things back up whilst we calm it down, and then we can move on to the third stage, which is about repair. So this can sometimes be done once we've taken those elements out. Sometimes these states can be taken alongside, but they tend to be one after the other, which is why it tends to take a few sessions or a bit of time just to rebalance the whole area. We're sometimes looking at things like aloe vera or slippery elm, or looking at some herbs to just really reduce that inflammation, calm everything down. If we've been struggling with something called leaky gut, then we're often looking at L-glutamine to make sure that we're bunging up all of the holes in the gut, for want of a more eloquent expression, to make sure that the gut lining is being healed as well as it can be. Other things that can help, we've mentioned here about emotional stress. I will share some of these with you later. By the way, I meant to say please take any screenshots or notes as we're going through, but I'll also try and share some of these if you'd like them. Thinking about if emotional stress is something that you know triggers you, bear that in mind and try to think about ways that you can combat this, and you can talk to me separately all about this. Be mindful of your environment you're eating in. Try not to rush your meals, chew slowly, give it time. These all sound like basics, but I would question how many of these we actually consciously make an effort to do on a daily basis. Try and eat away from your desk. Try and drink away from your meals. Give your body and its wonderful digestive system time for all of the stomach acid to work its magic. Let's not dilute it by drinking alongside while we're eating. Eating little and often, and just remembering, as I said, some of those triggers that we've got here. Starting to get into my favorite part of the show. So hydration, bowel movements, love them. So again, hydration, super duper important because we're trying to flush things out. So things get stuck in the gut, stuck in the digestive system. And there's this lovely little image here, which I often talk about when I'm, refer to when I'm talking to youngsters, because they're always saying, oh, mummy's going on about how I've got to drink water all the time and it's really boring. First of all, it doesn't have to be water. I'll cover that in a second. But I just want you to know how much hydration is important to the body. Just look at these stats, like look at all of these different organs that just need it and drink it up. So we have to make sure that we're giving it as much as possible. So what counts as hydration? Doesn't just have to be water, although that is possibly in the top. Fruit juice can count, although there's an element of being careful about the sugar content involved there. Same with squash, but what you can do is be adding in some fresh fruits, some like lemon or limes or something like that, and that's a really great way, or cucumber. That's a lovely way of getting in some zing and some extra taste. Herbal teas, brilliant, absolutely. Drink as many of those as you want. Also, your vegetables count. You know, things that you're having, your foods like cucumber, lettuce, your dark leafy greens, they all count towards hydration. Things that don't, on the naughty step, any caffeinated beverages, so teas, coffees, and also Coca-Cola, fizzy drinks, anything like that. Top tip, if you are a caffeine head, if you are struggling with any sort of bowel issue, especially if you're leaning towards looser, absolutely please take out caffeine. If you're struggling, then at least while the kettle is boiling, just have a quick glass of water. You're at least replacing that little bit of hydration that you're just about to lose. But ideally, you would maybe work towards a more herbal solution. How great is this slide? I'm just going to leave it there for everybody's benefit right now. The Bristol stool chart. Have a little look, revel in it. Not enough people share this kind of information, I absolutely swear. This is really helpful because we don't really tend to know what's normal, what is good poo, how are we supposed to get all of this out of our body. So you've got a chart here from one which is like rabbit dropping, hard pellet style, probably going to be a little bit painful, to number 7, which is kind of liquid. We don't really want to think about that, it's a bit gross. However, it does give you an idea of if you are more towards the congested side or the looser side, and you get an idea of whereabouts you are. Ideally, bear in mind, there is no perfect in this world, but ideally you'd be having at least 1 to 2 bowel movements a day after kind of every main meal. And I'm seeing some interested faces there. So I'm guessing some people aren't having this. If you're not, if you're feeling that you are going more regularly, then we need to look at the triggers. If you feel that you're not going that much at all, then you are definitely leaning towards, you know, numbers 1 and 2, and maybe more constipated. So we're going to be thinking straight away of things like fiber and hydration and oils. They're going to be your friends in order to get this in and to get this around and moving. Okay, that's enough of that image. Big slide here for a massive topic, and I'm going to try and be relatively top line and brief about it, but about toxins. What the gut and its beautifully intricate, complicated balance is trying to do is to work with everything that you're putting into your body, utilize it, and then get rid of anything that we don't need. Toxins are things that can get in the way of this. Any substance, natural, synthetic, which basically is a bit of a poison. It's a toxin, it's alien to our body. And if it's ingested in half enough doses, it can really get in the way of our nutrient absorption and our energy production. So often we think about toxins as things that we might eat, GMO type of foods, you know, fake foods, processed foods, heavily processed foods, heavily refined, overly cooked in those sort of areas. There's been a massive trend towards organic. I'm sure everybody has heard about this or tried it. But organic methods are certainly, they are going to have pesticide free. They're going to be a lot more gentle on the stomach, and they're going to have a much higher mineral content within the food. If you can't afford to replace everything in your kitchen, which is completely understandable, there's something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which I've got on my website and my Facebook page, or I'm happy to share with you if you ask me separately. And they give you like the top 15 foods that are really, you are going to benefit yourself tremendously if you try and swap these to organic versions. The other thing I just want to mention on toxins, which we can often forget, is I've mentioned that the skin is the largest organ of the body. So also what we're putting onto our skin. The reason why I say this is because things can get in the way, they can get stuck. And the point is that things are getting in the way of the detoxification and elimination process. So thinking about your face creams, your body creams, your hair care, start to bear that in mind as well. You might say, what's that got to do with gut health? Well, actually everything, because the body is one, we're all in balance. And if one area is unable to perform properly, it's going to upset in a different area. So the good news, what can we do? Here we go, a beautiful, healthy, balanced diet, which we should all strive upon, is consuming more whole foods, trying to get away from those quick, ready meals. If you are somebody who struggles with time, then we can have some separate discussions about simple food prep. Having things that are ready in the freezer. So for example, when it comes to making a smoothie in the morning, I've got all my veg frozen already, and I just take out a handful. I don't need to be chopping everything up in the morning. We're talking about organic fruit and veggies where we can. swapping our carbohydrates to complex carbohydrates, things that will be both low GI, so like a good stable low blood sugar release, a slow energy release, and also helps bind everything up properly in the gut, and along with adequate hydration helps to push it out. Oils definitely needed in the diet, healthy oils such as olive oil, coconut oil, avocados. Just a reminder that olive oil breaks down at high temperature, so please don't cook with it. It is used to be added in a cold variety. The best oil that I've found for cooking with is coconut oil. Obviously increasing your intake of your protein and your raw veggies. So there's an image of a little plate there just to give you a guide. I think we have a tendency to make the protein half the plate, make the veggies a little bit, and then the other bit a whole bunch of kind of white refined carbohydrates. So that tends to be a traditional meal. So just start to just pay attention to what you're popping on your plate there. Get rid of things that don't work for you. So many of the common foods we eat actually aren't that great. We want to start to look at what we're eating, start to bring in a bit of rotation and variation, and start to pay attention to things that you're craving. Even if they're veggies, and I'm going to come on to this, you might crave, I'm going to pick on broccoli, poor broccoli, but for me it's a trigger. And for a lot of IBS type of symptoms or sufferers, it's a trigger. If you're craving it, great, there might be something within that food that is a particular mineral that you're needing. If you're craving a sugar, that's a whole different thing. So just pay attention to it, come and discuss it with me, and we can get to the bottom of it. Just a reminder, removing foods that don't serve you. I don't offer people calorie controlled diet plans. I offer people general guidance about whole foods, clean foods, because I don't want people to focus on how much you eat. I want you to focus on what you're eating. And as soon as you're getting that, you are going to fill your plate with a whole load of loveliness that is going to serve you better. So rather than say, there's a massive bowl of pasta, these people, let's swap it to a whole wheat version. Let's pop some veggies in. You know, you can still have some foods that you really enjoy, but you're going to put them with a little tweak to make it a little bit better for your health, for your gut, for your energy, for all these areas. Just a bit of an overview slide here of things to help your digestive health. So just have a little look at the list on the left of things to stop using. You're probably already aware of all of these, but sometimes it's helpful just to pop it down there and starting to think about what you're replacing. So what we're trying to do here is replace processed, is replace too salty, is replace too much refined sugar. We can tend to live in a really busy society where we grab a ready meal, and let's start to think about what fresh ingredients have I got that is going to take me 5 minutes to cook, which is probably as long as a ready meal is going to take you in the microwave. It's not always about having to slave over a stove for half an hour, especially if you've done some prep work beforehand. So FODMAP, this is something that people will probably have heard of if they have been around in the IBS type of world community, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, for a while. It's often a list of trigger foods. Some you think are healthy, but actually they can be a real gut irritant. It came from Australian nutritionists who were just super duper clever, and they realized that there are fermentable foods. Basically, these are gas producing foods. So these give you a lot of wind, they give you a lot of bloating, they can give you a lot of pain, and just kind of having that trigger in that gut area. We just think, gosh, you know, I look really pregnant, or I look super fat right now. This is really uncomfortable. It's all that kind of uncomfortable nature. Studies have shown strong links between these FODMAP foods, these fermentable foods, and also having issues with diarrhea and constipation. So we're going to look at a low FODMAP diet. Here's a little chart I created earlier, Blue Peter style for you. On the left, we've got your high FODMAP with your common triggers. Now look at this list of vegetables, because I'll tell you what, I would have thought that all of these were super delicious and lovely and healthy. We've got avocado, broccoli, cabbage, leeks, garlic, onions, peas, mushrooms. It says sprouts, so it's supposed to say sprouts. All of these, super healthy, tons of greens, but oh my goodness me, are these annoying and irritating if you are struggling with IBS. Whether you have been officially labelled with this or not, the idea is that these are things that you can look at in your diet. Looking at some of the high fructose fruits, and again, this is up on my website on a blog, so you can refer to this later. Dairy, hugely common trigger. Wheat really gets in the way and bungs people up. Spicy foods, fatty foods, they all get in the way. Sometimes people struggle with chickpeas. I mention this one in particular because when we're being healthy, we often think, oh, I'll have some carrots and hummus. But if you're eating that every single day, you could be causing a bit more irritability. The great news is, look at the right-hand side, the lovely greens. You have got a whole load of lovely vegetables. Excuse me, you can still have aubergines, bok choy, pak choy, carrots, celery, green beans, kale, spinach, sweet potato, tomato, the list goes on. I'm going to pause slightly on tomato because that can be a bit of an inflammatory trigger in people, especially in people who struggle with joint pain or arthritis. But on a FODMAP point of view, it's acceptable. There's a different list here in fruit. There are different ones here that are more easy for your body to focus on. And again, this is so individual. This is like a generic guide for you. Everybody's body is so individual. You might have many different things going on. So if you have got some high sugar tendencies, some diabetes tendencies, bananas are probably not going to be your friend if you're struggling, you know, in that sort of way. So just take this with a pinch of salt and use this. But this is just like a low FODMAP. When we're looking at what else can we eat, people panic when I tell them that they can't have wheat or dairy. I totally get it. I have been there. I have lied to myself over the years and completely pretended I've cut them out when I haven't. Or I've cut them out 80% of the time. Well, that's no good, because that 20% of the time is still a trigger and your body goes, I'm going to react to that now. There are so many gluten-free products on the market that are so simple with different sort of grains that you can have. Quinoa, buckwheat, millet, you can get them all in the main shops now, not just in health food shops. You can make delicious porridges out of those. You know, you can get gluten-free oats. There's so many different things that you can have. The milks, oh my God, we're just overloaded with them in the supermarket. Just be careful that just because something is gluten-free or dairy-free doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Do look at all of the other ingredients, look at the sugar content, just bear that in mind because that might interfere with the gut as well. Other things here, I've just alluded to some of these things I wish I had known. I thought I'd make a nice little list for you. Wish I'd have known about making your own porridge. So Delicious Liella used to love her cookbook, used to make her granola, put all the different things in. But I just find sometimes the simplest thing is just some quinoa flakes and buckwheat flakes, mix them all up, pop them onto the stove with a little bit of non-dairy milk, super creamy, delicious porridge. I can then add some nuts, some seeds, and flax seeds and berries on top. It's delicious. Thinking about other things that are helpful for the gut, sweet potato, a lot easier for the body to digest. Think about the amount of time it takes to cook a white potato versus a sweet potato, and it gives you an idea then that your body's going to take twice as long to break down the white potato, not to mention the fact that it's kind of probably like a higher GI. Beans and lentils, as I said, can be a little bit tricky, so just be careful with the hummus. But have a think, there are some lentils that are, and grains that you can have, pui lentils, for example. You can even these days get these in microwavable packets. I don't think they have too much else added to them, or you can just get them dry and take 50 minutes to boil them up. They're really yummy. Chewing gum. I posted this on my Facebook page recently, and a couple of people were astounded. Chewing gum is a massive no-no if you struggle with IBS, because you start to chew and it completely tricks the body into developing these enzyme reactions, because the body says, oh great, food's coming, and then nothing happens, so you're just left with all of this gas and acid reflux. So let's stay away from that. And at the bottom, I've just mentioned again about bunging. Ingredients help bung you together and help pass things out. So flaxseed, psyllium husk, they are rightfully hailed as saviors, but please, 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 you have to remain hydrated, otherwise you're just going to get more constipated. So it's super important that you're balancing this out all the time. The chat box is not showing in this mode, so if you've got any questions, bear with me and I will have a look and I will come back to this, but sorry if I've missed anything. So supportive foods, what else can we do to help? We're doing a lot of, please try and avoid these. One of the biggest things I say to people, if you've got any sort of digestive issue, be it IBS, be it anything going on, is try and rotate your foods. We all fall into food habits, but try and think of this kind of rainbow plate idea, trying to eat a broad spectrum as possible, eating the rainbow, all the different colors, and avoid repetition. So many people have exactly the same thing, whether it's on Monday nights, this night, Tuesday nights, that, or they say, oh, I've got my porridge and I have that every single morning. You might be okay with that, but you might also potentially be causing a bit of a backup effect in the body and creating some inflammation unknowingly, which is then going to impair digestion. So you think about each time, let's say you have your porridge, your body could say, oh yeah, that's fine, I'm about here now. You eat porridge the next day, anybody says, oh, I'm not quite sure about those oats. You eat porridge the next day, anybody says, oh my God, now I hate oats. And you're thinking, well, how can it be the oats? Because I was fine on Monday and now it's Wednesday and on Thursday is your trigger. So it's not necessarily the food, it's just the fact that you're eating too much of it. It hasn't had any time to break it down. So I would, if this is an area, pick your 2 or 3 favorite breakfasts or lunches and just mix them up. I've got a whole bunch of recipes that I've been trying to share recently on my website, but do just ask if you're needing some help in this area. Do you know what? Amazingly, I'm on track with my timing. I'm so proud of myself right now. So here we go. Let's keep going. Supplements. Tons of stuff here. Oh my God. I mean, I'm the world's biggest boring geek all around supplements and vitamins and minerals. And I love testing people for what they need specifically. It's not just about going and getting something on the shelf. However, there are some lovely general ones. The idea with supplements is to calm the digestive system. You know, we're going to be removing the trigger foods and we want to soothe, we want to aid digestion, and we want to raise those natural vitamin and mineral levels which may have previously been impeded. The idea is not that you take one thing forever and ever and ever for the rest of your life, but it's that you take it for long enough for your standard levels to be nice, to be maximized, to be optimized. So let's say you could take zinc for 2 to 3 months, taking one just at night time, and then after 3 months your body said, oh, that's so great, I've now got enough and I remember how I produce this, thank you, and you can stop. Other times, things like multi-mineral vitamins, I must admit, I think are pretty good just all year round, just to ensure that you've got that balance. The same I would say here with your essential fatty acids. They're called essential because we can't create them, and they are essential for our body in so many different ways. So one of my favorite companies, there are 2 favorite companies. We've got Cytoplan. They do a lovely high potency fish oil, helpfully just called fish oils, love it. And there's also NutriAdvance that do something which is deliciously sounded, Eskimo Brain Sharp. You can get this in a capsule format or in a liquid format, possibly for the stronger hearted than I am, or stronger stomachs. You can always add these into your smoothies if you're doing this just to break it up. The top one though is probably the holy grail. Talked about digestive enzymes. There has been a particular product that I've championed for 10 years, but over the last year there is a new Gold Place Platinum member, and it goes to a product called Digestion Plus. It's from a company called Arbonne that I partner with, and it is a beautiful blend of both digestive enzymes to break down your food and absorb it, and also probiotics. So you have one product which is helping to fix the whole gut, and it comes in a little sachet. You can drink it in your water, add it into your smoothie, or mix it into your porridge. It just makes life simple. It's one element that does 2 things, and it's just for me, it's been an absolute savior. I started taking it last March, and it has helped me just so much. So just bear in mind different supplements. Another thing that's helped me, so I've just mentioned Arbonne for the first time. This is a healthy company that focuses on mind, body, skin. It's this kind of healthy living. It's vegan company. It's been around for 40 years. They offer a 30 days to healthy living gut reset program. I did this twice last year. Many of my clients have joined in, and the idea is that it's an entry point into rebalancing the gut, helping your body increase your energy, help you sleep better, help you, as I said, calm the gut, get your body absorbing its foods properly, but also to bring in some good, clean eating, to share with you some recipes, to share with you ideas, and to share with you the education behind it, because education is so key. Because if you know why you need to do something and what benefit it's going to bring to you, you're much more likely to actually do it. So this is a 30-day program that helps you learn about all of this in a nice, gentle way. There's an online group. You can also just be talking to me on a daily basis. People do tend to lose weight while they're on this, but this is not a weight loss program. I want to be really careful about that. This is a food and supplement driven program to help get your gut back in balance. I did it twice last year. I did lose about 5 or 6 pounds each time of a bit of excess weight because I just couldn't actually work out how to do this in my own way. But a big part for me was, after all of the IVF and all of these fake hormones I've been having, is that I couldn't quite get the hormones back in balance, and my skin was playing up and my sleep was all over the place, as was, you know, mental elements. Having a nice gentle program to give me a structure really helped clear up a lot of this. My skin, I can share some photos with you, cleared up tremendously. I also started to switch to using their skincare because it's then all nice and very gorgeous and very botanical based, and suddenly it cleared up loads. I've also had clients though who've got inflammatory type conditions like arthritis type elements, and they notice a considerable decrease in their joint pain. So this is just a reminder for me about how helpful gut health really is and how important it is. So just briefly about the program, it's sharing with you a lot of this information that I've just gone through about what to eat and what not to eat, removing the triggers. It can take it further in terms of it's really, we're removing out, wheat, dairy, sugar, alcohol, processed foods, anything that's too acidic. We want to create this alkaline, this healing environment, but it isn't outrageously draconian and terrifying, because the idea is you get told loads of things that you can have in place of it. So it's giving you those options, but it's teaching you how to eat clean, how to increase your nutrition levels. How we do this, why it's important, I mentioned about toxins earlier. Everything we do with our gut health is all to do with supporting the whole elimination organ, so liver, kidneys, lung, and the skin. These organs are so super powerful and careful, and we're just trying to just work through things as much as possible and really help with our elimination. Can't lie, I got totally distracted. Something just popped up on my phone. I thought somebody was struggling to log on, sorry. So just briefly, this is just a picture of it, what we're including in the pack here. So it's all about, you get a month's supply. So they do a 30-day supply. Realistically, it's going to last you for longer than that, or there's a 14-day trial pack if you want to do that. It's got protein shakes, which are dairy and wheat free. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how rare it is to find like a dairy-free protein shake. It already has all your minerals and vitamins in it. So you've already got that there as a good basis. And then you add in your beneficial fruits or your nuts or a handful of kale or spinach. So you're making this delicious shake, and you can kind of have that and just think, I've given myself such a good start to the day. You get your digestion plus, you get your detoxifying herbal teas. You're just getting so many things. And to help you if you're struggling with caffeine, they have these delicious things called energy fizz sticks, which I just find such a funny little name. They're a natural caffeine replacement. So it's using botanical extracts of green tea. So you're not getting that kind of dodgy caffeine. You're getting a beneficial version. You've got guarana and ginseng. You've got tons of B vitamins there to help give you that energy boost. So I hope that's given you a bit of a tour around digestion and gut health, and maybe started to see some ideas. You might have heard a lot of this, but again, I would just bring you back to how much of this are you actively paying attention to and actually doing at the moment. So next steps, talk to me. Come and chat to me. There's tons of information up on my website and on my Facebook page, which for some lack of technology ability, I can't seem to rewrite from my previous name, which was Sarah Tech Kinesiology. Can't work that out, but it will take you to the Thrive Health and Wellness page. Have an individual session with me. So as a wellness coach now, I offer both face-to-face and online consultations. So it doesn't matter where in the country you are. We can talk through, if it's digestion focused, we can talk through any existing medical conditions that might be getting in the way or confusing the situation for you. We can look at foods, we can look at how you're eating, we can look at your environment, we can look at the supplements that you're taking, and we can come up with a nice gentle plan that you can follow, and that I'm here with to check in with you. So if I give you a recipe or give you some ideas and you think that's the most abhorrent thing ever, tell me and we'll try something new. The idea is not to be draconian and to leave you by yourself. My job and my joy is to help hold your hand and help you along the better healthy living, so that so many of your areas can increase: your energy, your skin, your nutrition, your sleep. If you want to know more about the 30 days to healthy living, there's an information pack I can share you. And just a reminder, there's a full 30 days or just a 14-day trial period if you want to do it. So if I might ask you all, I'm going to stop the slide share now, if I can, come back to Zoom, double check the chat window, and if you want to unmute yourselves and ask any questions, please do, because I would love to try to help you. So let's have a look. Let me just close a window here. Okay. So I had a question from somebody here earlier about saying, why don't I allow people to eat wheat? So somebody messaged that to me earlier, which made me chuckle, because I'm not telling you not to do anything in particular. What I am saying, so sorry, is that wheat is a massively common trigger. It really bungs you up. It doesn't really serve any nutritional purpose. And to be honest, we eat it because we've been trained to eat it. And I'm going to be as bold to say as we tend to be relatively lazy. It tends to be something that's there to do. With children, the effects are actually quite startling, not just in terms of any skin problems or eczema problems like that. Concentration issues, unbelievable. ADHD, elements like that children are really struggling with. Some of it, if you remove the wheat and you replace it with something that is more beneficial to them, everything calms down. So asthma, allergies, any kind of inflammatory response that the body's saying, please help me, something's going wrong here, that's where wheat comes from. I'm not trying to say it's a big evil, because I don't think anything is truly evil in that way, but what I am saying is it's such a common one for people, and there's often so many different ways. A quick area that you can go to is getting the gluten-free stuff off the shelves. If you're looking for a quick fix, it's nice and simple for children. However, long term, it's not massively delicious, and it's not particularly nutritious because it's packed full of other stuff that bungs. So I would urge you to educate yourself on different sorts of flours, different sorts of foods that you can have, different grains. When you're thinking bread, think, could I have rice? Could I have a different grain? Could I be having sweet potatoes instead? What else could I be having instead here? Right, let me just have a little look here. Oh, interesting, Michelle. Okay, so hello, Michelle. So what are my thoughts on inulin powder as a prebiotic? I tend to find that I prefer a prebiotic and a probiotic mixture. I tend to find that that's a really good approach to make sure that you're covering all the areas. If you're needing something specifically, I would probably be questioning what's going on in a different stage of the gut system, of the digestive system. And realistically, something as specific as that would probably be down to something that we might test in an individual session and see which type and what you're interested in. But I would tend to say, for an overview, start off with a broad spectrum, because that's just going to help you get in all the different bits that you need. Because the prebiotics basically are helping your body produce their own version of things, and the probiotics are kind of trying to fix what's already in there, and you kind of need a bit of a balance. You can't really just do one without the other. Lovely comment from somebody else. Thank you very much. I'm so glad you have enjoyed this. Any other questions? Is there anything I've said that you are finding controversial or you would like to question or ask about? I'm more than happy to receive that feedback. What I will do is, hopefully this has gone live on Facebook. I'm learning about this technology, and to be honest, I was completely terrified about doing that. So if it's gone up there, brilliant, because you can refer back to it. A lot of the information I've put up here, I have tried to already put on my website as resources that you can access. Hopefully, I had a massive digestion themed January to try and kind of impart all of these different areas of knowledge. If you've got any more specific questions, I hope this has given you a really good broad overview, but also some maybe more deep dives and individual ideas into foods. I would just bear in mind, take everything with a pinch of salt, that this is kind of generic broad spectrum advice, and that every person is an individual, and we're often balancing different areas. Having just said that, I'm pretty sure that gut health is at the basis of a hell of a lot, oh, don't swear, Sarah, of an awful lot of health conditions. So if we're getting our gut health into a good place, an awful lot of other things can benefit from that. So thank you so much for joining me. Anything else, do message away. If not, I shall wrap up, let you carry on with your evenings. But I'm really grateful for you joining. Thank you so much. I was asked to do some online elements so people all around the country can join in, and I hope you found it useful. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.